Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for this hour of One America News. I'm Emily Finn. To start out this hour, in a move to protect the country, the White House announces new restrictions on travel from Brazil due to the spread of coronavirus in South America's hardest-hit country. The Trump administration
Platforms already.
Certainly, Carl. You know, one thing that I found particularly interesting about that Facebook political ad ban is that it evolved into banning material that was political in nature. You know, it's something that was a politically divisive topic. And it's so sad to see because we'll never be able to become unified, to become undivided as a nation, despite our differences, which are obviously inevitable. You know, if we can't even share our ideas and attempt to come to some kind of a common ground, which will ultimately affect legislation moving forward and change society as a whole in the
100%.
years to come.
Yep.
So, Madison, walk us through why you decided to run in the first place. It's no secret that some young people shy away from getting involved in politics, but now you may become the youngest person elected to Congress. So what do you hope to accomplish with this campaign?
Well, Emily, you know, I feel like you can probably relate to this. I understand you're the youngest national anchor there is in the country, and so I'm sure.
Now we want to take you live to South Dakota, where One America's Jack Posobiec is on the scene, where protesters seem to be blocking the road to Mount Rushmore. Hi, Jack. It's great to see you. Now, there have been some reports that riot police are now present, and I just heard in my ear that the National Guard may be firing pepper balls on protesters. So tell us what's going on out there. What have you been seeing on the ground? You know, Alex, I keep saying that the only person that comes second to Dr. Fauci that has received so much fame and recognition from coronavirus is Gretchen Whitmer. And I mean, she was elected during the 2018 midterms. I covered her campaign. I was still in college at the time. And not many people knew who she was on a national front. And since March, in just 2 months, Cecily Strong has played her on SNL. There was a rapper in Detroit that, you know, gave her the nickname Big Gretch and said that she earned her Cartier buffs. And now she's being considered as VP of the United States of America. I mean, talk about a big year for this woman.
Not in any trouble at all. I think that there is a very clear double standard in this country that, you know, if you are a conservative, you can be criticized and you can be, you know, like we talked about, that cancel culture. If you are proud of that, I mean, you look at people who wear Make America Great Again hats supporting the president of the United States, and they get canceled as well. So you never see that on the other side. You don't see that if someone's out there wearing a Feel the Burn shirt, you know, they're not, you know, being publicly attacked. And so I think, yeah, it's definitely that double standard in this country. So Gundy wouldn't have had any backlash at all if he was wearing a Huffington Post shirt, or, you know, someone like the Daily Beast or CNN or MSNBC, any of them on the left.
To you, Emily. Thanks so much, Jen. You know, does Congressman Biggs have any plans for Christmas? I know he's fighting to keep Christmas there today.
Yeah, that's a good question.
It certainly sounds like President Trump is being cautious. And Chanel, I think it's interesting to quickly point out, we saw some reports of some of the demonstrators, although they were small groups within the giant protest, they were actually waving American flags. And so many believe that, you know, repping the U.S. flag is not only an effort to infuriate President Xi and make his government look weak, like they've lost total control of the city, but other protesters are saying that they're trying to encourage President Trump and the U.S. government, for that matter, to take some action. But like you pointed out, a more diplomatic tone might be the best approach amid these ongoing trade talks. So let's shift to our trade war with China. We know the White House's September deadline for the 10% tariffs have been delayed to November. What does the president's game plan seem to be here? As our country attempts to grapple with nationwide protests against police brutality and the coronavirus pandemic, we turn our attention to this year's elections. He's a former Oakland Raiders safety, Super Bowl champion, and now the Republican nominee in Utah's 4th Congressional District. Burgess Owens joins us now. Hello, Mr. Owens. It's a pleasure to speak with you. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to chatting with you, for sure. Absolutely.
Okay, so over the weekend, President Trump endorsed your campaign, and you responded and said, quote, "From a childhood in segregation to being endorsed by the president, it's an honor to live in a country that has made that possible." But in America right now, we are seeing many people that don't necessarily agree with you that it's an honor to live in this country. Instead of celebrating 4th of July weekend, we saw large protests across the nation supporting the Black Lives Matter movement. So how do you feel the president has handled this nationwide unrest?
Well, first of all, he's doing the right thing. What we have to understand, Emily, and
Vote on that. Why can't they do that?
I completely agree with you, Carl. And while it seems promising to see these parties coming together, both sides have acknowledged that it's going to be difficult to get any legislation through, which is awful because it should be one thing that they're focused on. This is obviously a crisis at the border, and it's mind-boggling that they're still so polarized on how to deal with it. Republicans obviously are, advocating for ramping up more border security, and the Democrats still want these legal protections for illegal immigrant children. But the reality of the situation at the border is that no matter how many times the Biden administration refuses to acknowledge this crisis, when he undid all of the President Trump administration policies, reinstituting catch and release, stopping the border wall construction, he got rid of the Remain in Mexico policy. We saw what happened. There was, nearly 100,000 apprehensions at the border in February. And according to CBP data, the numbers for March are looking much worse. Yeah. And so we know that, it's the increase in these unaccompanied minors that are really the problem here. And the cartels are using them as a decoy for human trafficking, for drug smuggling operations. So you're completely right, Carl. If they were to just focus on this single issue, this humanitarian crisis would be able to be at least avoided a little bit more.
Yeah.
Wow, Jen, certainly a very busy day for President Trump and his supporters, and Stop the Steal really seems to be the battle cry of all of these events going on today. And we know that in Wisconsin, Trump's campaign team will be in front of the Wisconsin State Supreme Court. So it'll be interesting to see the reactions from everyone there in D.C. as to what they're hoping is going to happen there today. Lots of developments in the Trump campaign's fight for election integrity. So, Jen, we'll be checking in with you at the rally. Thanks so much for that update. Representative Vernon Jones, who posted his reaction to Biden's comments on Twitter, saying Biden is, quote, not entitled to black support. Mr. Jones, thank you for taking some time out of your day to speak with me.
Thank you so much, Emily. I'm proud to be here with you and your viewers.
Now, we just played that clip for our viewers because, as you said in the video you posted on Twitter, it is hard to believe. And many are saying that this goes beyond Biden's usual gaffes, which he has become notorious for at this point. So, Mr. Jones, walk us through your reaction to those comments, and what are you hearing from members of the black community about their opinion of Joe Biden in light of those remarks?
About the attacks against Kamala and whether you think they're being effective or not.
But Ian, it was a debate. I mean, that's the only thing that she can come back with. I mean, the hypocrisy is so blatant that it was a debate is the only thing she can say.
We shall see, Neil, if they do blow up Christmas. And, Santa will certainly be checking to see who's been naughty and who's been nice during these impeachment proceedings. But one final question for you before you go. The president seems in good spirits about his chances to survive. He even said he wants to call Schiff to testify if there is a trial in the Senate. So what's the overall feeling in Washington?
How are you?
Oh, living the dream, Chanel. So like I just mentioned there, on Thursday, Senate Republicans in the White House seemed to reach an agreement about what CARES 2 would look like. But Monday's deadline is fast approaching and there's still no bill.
In the Super Bowl, if you're going to watch the Super Bowl, are you?
Yes. Elma, that's funny. I got a Twitter response from a viewer asking me who I was rooting for, and I said, I only root for the Detroit Lions, so Super Bowl Sunday is always a sad day for me because they've never been to a Super Bowl. So I'm not really invested in this game today, but hopefully next year the Lions make an appearance.
Okay, well, you're right.
Stanley Cup Finals appearances. Now, Mike, I have a trivia question for you, but first, are you a big hockey fan?
Yeah.
So? Okay, you ready for this?
Shoot.
Can you name all of the original 6 teams?
Oh, my goodness. Are you serious? I don't know. Flyers, Rangers, Oilers, Canucks.
You got one. So we got the New York Rangers.
Go for it.
Boston Bruins.
Yeah.
We have the Chicago Blackhawks, Montreal Canadiens, Toronto Maple Leafs, and most importantly, the Detroit Red Wings.